So I'm delighted this morning to be with Neil Mangan from Home Experts, Kensington and Chelsea. Neil, I'm going to see a lot of you in the next couple of weeks. You're both at my Central London evening meet coming up in March the 16th. Then Wandsworth, which is going to be on the 21st of March, and then in early April, I see you at the Central London morning meet.
Cool.
So now, I don't know when our listeners are listening to this. They may be listening in the next couple of days, or they may be listening next month or so. But whether you're listening, fairly soon or a little bit late in the future, this interview is still relevant because we're going to go into Neil's background and what shaped Neil's influence. Neil, right now your major focus is Home Experts, Kensington and Chelsea, and you've taken that particular franchise. Your background is HMOs, particularly student lets in the Coventry area.
Yeah.
And also a construction background as well. What would you say to listeners who are trying to develop relationships with estate agencies? What should they do? What things have you seen people do which you thought was really good or may not have been so good? Is there ways to build rapport with you which you think would be worth potentially my listeners doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only a phone call away. All they need to do is go to the Home Experts website, and they'll find me under the Kensington in the contact section under Kensington Chelsea. My phone number and website's on there, so you can either email me, call me. I think, like a lot of people, I think it pays dividends to build long-term relationships with estate agents and with professionals. I think for me, I can only talk from my own personal point of view. When I was heavily invested in Coventry before, where a lot of external developers came in, I had a good network of estate agents, and they often called me before a property went to market. So I was able to buy a purchase on a lot of properties without even going on Rightmove or Zoopla. So I think in many ways, if you can build up a good network of agents and you can come across as reliable and someone who wants to do business on a long-term basis. And I'm interested in that as well, but I think that pays dividends.
Neil, I know you're a HMO landlord as well. In terms of other property strategies, you looked at trading, am I right in saying, or is that one strategy? What strategies have you looked at? Mostly HMOs?
Just HMOs and multi-lets, really. I often... if it's not a HMO, I usually look at end-of-terrace properties, properties with garages. Garages make great rooms, ensuite rooms, or mini studios, or properties with very large lounges that can be divided into two and put as another bedroom. I'm very good at carving up a property to create another room or two, I think if you can't afford a HMO, which they can be very expensive, then maybe start with a multi-let, which is 4 or 5 rooms or less. 4 rooms or less in some councils, and that'll give a good stepping stone.
What made you choose Coventry as well? Because Coventry is your stronghold in terms of your HMOs, is that right?
Yeah, I'm originally from there, Brendan. I'm originally from Coventry. I went in the army when I was 19. I come out, went to university, and I was lucky enough to have bought my first property from the council, 20 grand. But fortunately, it was in a very good area. Overnight, it was valued at 100 grand. And then I was very, very lucky, and I remortgaged, bought another property for 70 grand. It was a 2-bed. I developed that within 4 months, and this is just before the 2007-2008 bubble, and I sold it 125 grand 4.5 months later, and then I bought 2 more, sold, flipped them, and that's when I realised the properties in my point of view at the time, credit was easily available, but property prices were just going above and beyond what was acceptable. So I held back. And I just lived in one of my properties until it all calmed down. And then at the time, I actually grew up around the University of Warwick, and I actually just let out 1 bedroom of mine in a 5-bedroom house I had to a postgraduate student. Because the reason why I chose a postgraduate student is because they're the campus all year round, unlike undergraduates. So you've got an annual income from a postgraduate student as opposed to an undergraduate. So I think if anybody who's looking at student lets, my advice would be to go for postgraduates. Yes, they want a better standard of living, but at the same time, you get a better tenant who's willing to pay that little bit more and is there all year round. So going back to what you said about University of Warwick, I started with one student in a 5-bed house. I realised it was very easy passive income. And within 3 months, I'd filled my whole house. I moved into another property and with the intention of doing it again. So I've got 3 student HMOs and 2 HMOs for working professionals.
We were discussing before the interview some of your interests outside of property. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is one. What made you interested in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? You almost tempted me to consider doing it, to be fair.
Yeah, I guess Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came on the scene, exploded onto the scene when the UFC came out. And at the time, I was boxing. I was doing a lot of boxing, and a lot of friends of mine got into it. I refused to accept that by lying on back on the floor if you did martial art. But Jiu-Jitsu is actually judo-based, so you throw your opponent to the floor, and the art of it is a smaller opponent, weaker opponent can beat a larger, stronger opponent through leverage and technique. And it's based on a belt system from white to black belt. So white, blue, purple, brown, black. On average, it takes 10 years to get a black belt. It's classed as one of the hardest martial arts to do. And you often do technique, and then you every session you do sparring, which is basically rolling around the floor trying to armbar someone, choke someone out, footlock them, or pin them. And
Sure.
you score and punch from that. And it's a very, very technical sport, but also a very physical sport. And any person of any age can do the sport, and you can adapt it to your own body type. And a lot of women, interestingly enough, take up the sport as well.
What really interests me, though, Neil, particularly about your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is who you have as your, I'm not sure your trainer as such, but who owns that particular Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
He's the main instructor, Roger Gracie. He's 10-time world champion. No one else in the world has ever won as many world champions as him. And we've been really lucky because his father, Mauricio Gomez, he brought Jiu-Jitsu to Britain, and he's there all the time. And they're both a fantastic team. And there's other instructors there. There's another guy there, Charles, and he's second in the world. Another guy there, Professor Junior. He's won European championships. So we've got a great caliber of instructors there, and it passes on as well to the students.
Sure. It sounds absolutely amazing in terms of the pedigree who've got as part of your team, your external team, I would say. Looking at how you keep up to date with information and what you're reading, we were discussing one of the books which you're reading now, Neil, which is?
I read a book on leadership by Alex Ferguson. Believe it or not, I'm not actually a football fan. But I do believe there's certain principles a lot of people can take on board from other people. I don't think I need to introduce who Alex Ferguson is. Everybody knows he's one of the most world successful football managers, and I believe there's certain traits that people across all fields that can be utilised in any area. So I am learning a few things from the book. Is barring the football comments, but I think basically one message, which is again in martial arts, it's just consistency and hard work will pay better off in the long term than any natural talent. And Alex Ferguson himself says that you can be the most naturally gifted person, football player in the world, but unless you're willing to consistently put the hard graft in, you never really get anywhere. And I think that makes sense in any walk of life, really, in any endeavour you attempt to do. That you have to keep working.
Sure. Neil, so we mentioned Home Experts. What is the website? How can people find out about Home Experts?
Well, basically, they can go online and do a simple Google search and type in Home Experts, and the national franchise website will come up. Under the contact section, you'll see all the list of franchisees up and down the country. There's several in London now. I was at a training academy yesterday in the Zoopla headquarters about how best we can utilise Zoopla's features. And there yesterday was a lady from Harrow, Tottenham, and there's a couple from Fulham there as well. All fantastic franchisees. And up and down the country, there's people in Purbeck and Poole near Bournemouth, and right up north to Yorkshire as well. So if anybody's looking to invest all over the country or look in the website, it can be done. And sure. Actually under the Kensington Chelsea website itself.
So Neil, we've looked briefly at the events coming up. Yeah. Just to summarise, we've got the event next Thursday, the 16th, which is a lettings update.
Yeah.
Then we've got the 21st, which is going to be yourself on the panel, the HMO panel, and that's with I Occupy, who are based in Luton, James O'Grady, Ranjan Bhattacharya as well. So huge portfolio. So that's what we've got coming up next next week and the week after, and then we've got the Central London morning meet as well.
Yeah, when is the Central London morning meet in April? What date is that?
The 3rd of April.
Cool. Yeah,
the 3rd of April. And in terms of people connecting with you on Twitter, can people find you on Twitter now as well?
Yeah, I'm HX at Kensington. Well, at HX at Kensington. Twitter feed is. So you find me on that. And on Instagram, Home Xperts Kensington Chelsea. Very simple.
Okay, brilliant. So I just want to say huge thanks for you taking time out today. Well, one thing I haven't really asked you, but of course you are reading, and that's where those best bits of nuggets of information are coming from. What's the best bit of business information, best bit of wisdom you've been given?
I guess in many ways it's kind of like choose your battles, if that makes sense. In the sense that you don't have to do business with everybody to be successful, but choose business partners wisely. You know, and I think that's the best information I've had, because like a lot of network meetings, you can go and meet everybody, and I'm not saying everybody in the room. People in the room obviously have all got something to give, but for what everybody has different purposes and needs. So I think you've got to find what will suit you and what person will suit your needs better, really. So in many ways, it's choose your battles wisely.
Sure.
You know.
So just want to say huge thanks for you taking time out, Neil, this morning. I want to say huge thanks to the listeners as well. And if there's particular people you want me to interview, let me know. Maybe we could do an interview with your trainer at some point, possibly.
Yeah. You want? I can ask him that. Yeah, I can ask him that.
Yeah. So huge thanks for you joining us, and huge thanks to the listeners as well. So that's it for the moment, Neil. And I'm just going to end there. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Cheers, Brendan.
Thank you.